Okay, so I am here in Charleston, Jason, and my internet's kind of on the fritz, but so I wasn't able to get all the music and media that you wanted us to have in our videos, or would have liked us to have had in our videos. But so I'm just filming myself, describing what I want to talk about. So what do I want to talk about? I want to talk about this idea of paradigm shifts, like you were talking about in class, which kind of corresponds with some ideas that we were mulling over in my philosophy of science. So the term wasn't invented by Thomas Kuhn, but Thomas Kuhn certainly helped popularize the term. And he defined it. Now, yeah, I have my notes, right, to the side of my laptop here. So, just to quote directly from Kuhn here, the structure of a scientific revolution is a series of peaceful interludes punctuated by intellectually violent revolutions. And in those revolutions, one conceptual worldview is replaced by another. So basically, you have change brought about by technology or science, which Kuhn didn't really specify that this concept really related to technology per se. But um, but there are some definite examples throughout human history that qualify for paradigm shifts. And some of these are, the first tools being invented probably 20 or some thousand years ago, I believe. The bow and arrow being invented around 10,000 BC. The invention of agriculture around 7,000 BC. Uh, writing, cuneiform, invented by the Sumerians. Uh, all of the advances invented by uh, the Greek civilization. Um, and most people don't realize this, but we actually have China. We have the Chinese to thank for book print, which was printed many thousands of years before Christ, actually. Uh, but most people don't realize that. So uh, I would mention the Romans there, but they pretty much copied the Greeks and didn't actually innovate that much. The next revolutions in science didn't really take place until mostly until after the Dark Ages, and that was around the 1500s or so, uh, and during the mainstay of the scientific revolution during that period, which led towards the Enlightenment, which led towards the first steam engines and advances in transportation being built, um, which led inevitably to the Industrial Revolution, which kind of leads us to where we are now. Uh, and the most advances of any century was actually the 19th century. So many advances were made during that period. Most of it, 17th and 18th century, or 18th and 19th century rather. The first steam engines, evolutionary theory, germ theory, genetic theory, which uh, DNA hadn't been discovered until the 1950s, but the genetic theory was still there in the 19th century. Um, so those were probably the most significant ones, the most significant modern advances that kind of structured where we are today. And of course, at the end of the 20th century, no one can deny the advances in processing, uh, millions, billions now of calculations made in nanoseconds. It's the processing speed is becoming unbelievable. Uh, advances in computer technology, information technology in general, as we talked about in class, is reaching such a level that uh, that former media consumers are now becoming media producers themselves. Um, so um, everything is wireless or in the process of becoming wireless now, and that's uh, progressing more and more as we talked about in class, and just like we talked about in class, like these paradigm shifts that Kuhn wrote about, they're they're not happening in a period of 100 years or 50 years anymore. They're happening within uh, in a lot of cases now 1 or 2 years apart. Uh, and I'll take Bluetooth as an example. Bluetooth didn't exist a decade ago, and that's just basically modified radio frequencies. And that's probably what I'm going to use wireless internet on Wi-Fi to send you this video, Jason. But I'll just use that as an example. So where am I kind of going with this? Well, related to this idea, what I wanted to talk about was the kind of complexity that 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 this technology is bringing to humankind in general. And um, so I kind of wanted I didn't want to define it as a paradigm shift because I knew it wasn't. So this kind of idea actually has a name, and it comes from us from a I believe a philosopher of science also, Pierre Desjardins, excuse me, who wrote in the late 19th century, early 20th century. And this concept is called the law of complexity in consciousness. And basically, it's the tendency in matter in general, not just human beings, but all matter in general, to make itself more complex over time while its consciousness increases simultaneously. So um, basically, that means that our evolution, our biochemical evolution, uh, or our biochemical makeup rather, has evolved over time, but it's our ways of seeking out truth and convenience now are making us more complex and socialized. And these ideas that are coming to us from this socialization that's been in rapid progression throughout the last 50 years and has reached a peak, if you can even call it that, uh, more of like a steady progression within the last maybe 10 years or so. So, um, just to wrap, this very elongated video up, I won't, keep you more than you have to be, kept with this video, Jason. But so basically, our biological makeup has evolved over time, but in congruence with that, we've become more socialized and we've had more ideas come to us through this socialization, through technology as well. And and we get these advances in technology through paradigm shifts, which are coming to us through computing technology, months at a time, years at a time now, and there's no the interlude between these advances aren't as elongated or stretched out as they were centuries and millennia before. So that's my presentation. Hope you liked it, Jason, because that's the end of the video. And I will see you after spring break.